Dear students, welcome to the lecture series on the topic Engineering Graphics. Today we are going to discuss about orthographic projections of the points. I am Dr. XIII Ahuja, Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Punjabi University, Patiala. Now here we have been provided with the coordinate locations of a point lying into quadrant number 1. So we are required to obtain the orthographic projections of the point along with the shortest distance of this point from the intersection of horizontal plane and the vertical plane. So here we have been provided with the information that the point Q, it is situated into the first quadrant. Its distance from the horizontal plane, it is 40 millimeter, and the distance from the vertical plane happens to be 30 millimeter. Now we are required to obtain the orthographic projections of this point and evaluate its shortest distance from the point of intersection of horizontal plane and the vertical plane. Now let us evaluate the spatial coordinate location of this point into quadrant number 1. So here we have got horizontal plane, this is the vertical plane, and the location of the point, we know this point is lying 40 millimeter above the horizontal plane and 30 millimeter in front of the vertical plane. So when the observer is going to look at this point from the front view orientation, so we are going to observe that this point Q, it will be projected onto the vertical plane at a point Q dash, which will be lying at a distance of 40 millimeter above the horizontal plane. So we are going to obtain the front view orthographic projections of the point as point Q dash. Now when the observer is going to look at this point from the top view orientation, so we observe that this point Q will be appropriately projected onto the horizontal plane in the top view projections, and the top view projections will be marked as point Q, and this point Q will be located at a distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane over here. So this projector line, it is going to define the relationship between the front view orthographic projections and the top view orthographic projections of this point Q over here. So now we know that since this point, it is located into the first quadrant, so this is the intersection of the horizontal plane and the vertical plane. So from this point onto the XY line, if we are going to join this point with point Q over here, so this way we will be able to evaluate shortest distance of this point Q from the intersection of the horizontal plane and the vertical plane or the XY reference line. So now we observe that the front view orthographic projection Q dash and the top view orthographic projection Q corresponding to this point Q, they are lying into the mutually perpendicular planes over here. So we need to rotate the horizontal plane in the clockwise direction such that this point Q, that is the top view orthographic projection which has been obtained onto the horizontal plane, it should be appropriately rotated such that this portion of the horizontal plane should be overlapping with this portion of the vertical plane over here. So this point Q, after rotation, so this will be available onto the vertical plane, so that we should have Q dash and Q projections, they are available onto the same vertical projector line over here. Now let us obtain the left hand side view orthographic projections of this point Q. So whenever the observer is going to look at this point Q from the side orientation, so we observe that the left side orthographic projections of this point Q will be available onto the right profile plane, because we know that into first angle projection methods the object lies in between the observer and the plane of projection. So the left hand side projections of this particular point Q will be available onto the right profile plane at this position, and this point will be named as Q double dash. And once again, this point Q double dash will be available at a distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane and 40 millimeter from the horizontal plane. Now we have to establish the relationship between the left hand side view orthographic projections and the front view orthographic projection. That is, both of them, they will be lying at the same height over here, right? So, and another thing, this distance of point Q and point Q double dash, it will also be equal to 30 millimeter. That is the distance of top view projections and the profile view projection. So it will be same as 30 millimeter. Now, when the observer is going to look at this object from the right hand side view orientation, so as per the conventions of the first angle projection method, the right hand side view projections of this point Q will be obtained onto the left profile plane. So this point Q will be projected on the left profile plane at this position, which will be marked as right hand side view orthographic projections of the point Q as Q double dash. So once again we can check, this point Q double dash has been obtained as right hand side view orthographic projections of the point Q, and it is available at a height of 40 millimeter from the horizontal plane and 30 millimeter from the vertical plane. So this way we have been able to obtain orthographic projections of this point into the 3D spatial arrangement comprising of horizontal plane, vertical plane, left profile plane and the right profile plane. Now let us obtain the orthographic projections of this point Q into the 2D orthographic system over here. So here we have drawn the XY reference line. Now we know that as we look at this object from the front side orientation, so this point Q dash, it will be available at a height of 40 millimeter above the XY reference line into the vertical plane. So into the vertical plane, the front view orthographic projections, that is point Q dash, they have been obtained at a height of 40 millimeter above the horizontal plane or above the XY reference line. Similarly, we have been able to obtain the top view orthographic projections of this point 30 millimeter in front of the vertical plane, and once we rotate this into the clockwise direction, so the location of the top view projections will be 30 millimeter below the XY reference line. So now 30 millimeter below the XY reference line, we have been able to obtain top view orthographic projections of this point into the horizontal plane. So where Q dash represents front view orthographic projections of the point Q represented on the vertical plane, and point Q represents top view orthographic projections of the point Q obtained onto the horizontal plane. Now here we have obtained the left profile plane X1, Y1 obtained onto the left side of the front view orthographic projections, and the right profile plane has been obtained as X1, Y1 obtained onto the right hand side of the front view orthographic projection. So we know that onto the left profile plane, the right hand side view orthographic projections will be obtained. Onto the right profile plane, the left hand side view orthographic projections of the point Q will be obtained. So now we have obtained through the intersection points of XY reference line and left profile plane X1, Y1 and right profile plane X1, Y1. So through these two intersection points, two transfer lines we have been able to obtain over here. Now through these transfer lines, we will be able to transfer the distance of the plan projection point from the vertical plane into the profile plane over here. So what we have to do, as we have already discussed, the right hand side view orthographic projection the left hand side view orthographic projection and the front view orthographic projection. So all these three orthographic projections, they are available at a height of 40 millimeter from the horizontal plane. We can check. So from point Q dash of the front view orthographic projection, now we have drawn a horizontal projector line into the left side profile plane and the right side profile plane. So onto this horizontal locus line at a height of 40 millimeter from the ground, the points P double dash into the right hand side view projection and the left hand side view projection will be available over here. Now we have to transfer this vertical distance of 30 millimeter below the XY reference line into 30 millimeter from the vertical plane into the left hand side view profile plane, and the same distance 30 millimeter from the vertical plane into the right hand profile plane we need to obtain. So how that can be done? We have to draw a horizontal projector line through the point Q such that this horizontal projector line should be intersecting with the transfer line which is drawn into the left profile plane, such that this distance of 30 millimeter below the XY reference line, it should be appropriately translated or transformed into a distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane. We can check into the left profile plane. This distance of the right hand side view projections, it is available at a distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane. So this will be transferred through this transfer line. So wherever this horizontal projector line emerging from the point Q into the left hand profile plane, it will be intersecting with this transfer line onto the left hand side. So one vertical projector line now we have to obtain. So this vertical projector line, now we can check this vertical projector line, it happens to exist at a distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane. Now wherever this vertical projector line emerging from this transfer point available over here, it is going to intersect with the horizontal projector line emerging from the point Q dash. So the intersection of these two projector lines, they will provide us with the location of the point Q double dash into the right hand side view projections over here. Now we can check this point Q double dash, that is right hand side view projection. It is available at a height of 40 millimeter above the horizontal plane and 30 millimeter from the vertical plane into the left profile plane. Now we can join this point Q double dash with this intersection point over here, that is the XY reference line. So this distance, we will observe that this distance, that is the shortest distance of this point from the XY reference line, it will happen to be equal to 50 millimeter. Similarly, from the point Q, we have obtained a horizontal projector line. We have extended this horizontal projector line till it intersects with this transfer line into the right profile plane. Now this distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane, it has been transferred from the vertical orientation into this horizontal orientation, so that through this intersection point, whenever we are going to draw a projector line, we will observe that this horizontal projector line, it will be available at a distance of 30 millimeter from the vertical plane. Now whenever we extend this vertical projector line into the right profile plane till it intersects with the horizontal projector line emerging from the point Q dash, so the intersection of these two projector lines will provide us with the location of the point Q double dash, that is left hand side view projections over here. So now again we can check the left hand side view projection Q double dash. It is available at a height of 40 millimeter from the horizontal plane and 30 millimeter from the vertical plane. Now if we join the XY reference line or the intersection point over here with this point Q double dash, so we obtain that the true length of the shortest distance joining the XY line or the intersection of HP and VP with this point happens to be 50 millimeter. We have been able to evaluate front view, top view, right hand side view, left hand side view orthographic projections of this point Q, which happens to lie into quadrant number 1. And besides this, we have also been able to evaluate the shortest distance of this point Q from the intersection of HP and VP, that is the XY reference line. So this is all for today. So we are going to continue with illustrative sessions regarding orthographic projections of the points into the coming lectures. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.